I want you to do something for me. Just for a second, close your eyes.
Okay.
I want you to mentally time travel back to the mid-90s.
Oh, wow.
Right. If you were around then, picture the playground. You've got the screech of dial-up internet in your head. Maybe you're wearing a flannel shirt tied around your waist.
Definitely wearing the flannel.
Yeah. But the main thing is this absolute wave of red and blue.
It wasn't just a wave, though. It was a total cultural saturation. I mean, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing those cartridges.
Exactly. It was Game Boys linked together with those flimsy little link cables. It was trading cards getting banned in schools. But now, open your eyes. Because it is February 2026.
We made it.
We did. We have officially hit the big three. Oh! The Pokémon franchise is celebrating its 30th anniversary. That is 3 decades of catching, battling, and, accidentally deleting your save file.
It is a massive milestone. In the entertainment industry, 30 years is practically an eon.
Mm-hmm.
Most franchises that start that hot, they burn out in 5, maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
To be here at 30 is an anomaly.
It really is. And honestly, it feels like they are just hitting a new stride. We've been digging into this stack of materials regarding the anniversary for today's deep dive.
Yeah, lots to cover.
We have an article detailing the specific anniversary visuals. We have the rollout history of Pokémon Horizons and a timeline of the recent seasons. And my initial reaction was, oh, cool, a birthday party. But the more I looked at the sources, the less it felt like a nostalgic remember when and more like a
creative upgrade.
Exactly. Buckle up. We're going somewhere new. So our mission today is to explore exactly how a 30-year-old franchise balances that nostalgia with this thematic evolution.
That's the fascinating tension at play here. Usually a 30th anniversary is just a victory lap. You release a compilation album, you trot out the old actors, you replay the greatest hits. But the sources we're looking at paint a very different picture. This isn't just a celebration of the past. It's a strategic, creative upgrade, just like you said. They are trying to balance that heavy, warm blanket of nostalgia that keeps people like us interested, while aggressively pushing a thematic evolution for the kid who, just picked up their first Switch yesterday.
Which is an incredibly hard tightrope to walk. If you lean too hard on nostalgia, you look like a museum exhibit. If you change too much, you alienate the people who built your house in the first place.
Right.
So let's unpack how they are managing this. The first thing that jumped out at me from the anniversary materials was the vibe. We have this new visual campaign, specifically this really eye-catching illustration by Rei Yamazaki.
Yamazaki is a key name here. As the character designer, having them do the official anniversary art signals that this is canon.
It's authentic.
Yes. This isn't just marketing art outsourced to some agency. It's coming from the heart of the production team.
And it's fun. The description in the article explicitly points out the, quote, best party vibes.
It's very humanizing, isn't it?
Completely. Usually you see these protagonists, and we'll get into exactly who they are in a minute, but you usually see them in their battle gear, ready to throw down. But here, they're just hanging out. It grounds the fantasy. It makes you feel like, okay, even world-saving trainers need to take a weekend off to cut some cape.
I think that's highly intentional. It's signaled to the audience that this moment, this 30th anniversary, is a break in the action. It's a moment of joy. The source material emphasizes capturing the spirit of this monumental occasion.
Yeah.
It's bright. It's festive. It tells the viewer that this franchise isn't a grim, serious drama. At its core, it's about connection and fun.
But, and here's where I really need you to weigh in, amidst all this party gear and confetti, there is one very specific, very strategic detail in the logo itself.
You're looking at the mascot.
I am looking at the mouse. The dynamic new logo for the 30th anniversary features Pikachu, but it's not just any Pikachu, it's Captain Pikachu.
This is where the casual fan might miss the significance. To the untrained eye, it's just Pikachu in a hat. But that hat does a lot of heavy lifting for the brand.
Right. I mean, for 25 years, we had Ash's Pikachu, no clothes, hated being in a Pokeball, loved catch-up. This is a different entity entirely.
It is. This is Captain Pikachu, or Cap, as he's known in the current series. He's not a pet, he's a leader. He steers the airship. He has a deeper, almost gruffer personality compared to the bubbly mascot of the 90s.
Yeah.
By plastering this specific version of Pikachu on the 30th anniversary logo, the company is making a very bold statement.
They're planting a flag.
Precisely.
Yeah.
They are saying, we aren't reverting to the 1996 design just for the nostalgia pop. We are honoring the milestone with the current face of the franchise. It validates the new era. It tells the fans who have jumped on board recently that their version of Pokemon is the one that matters right now.
That's actually really risky if you think about it. Imagine if Mickey Mouse had a specific, I don't know, 2020s look, and Disney refused to use the classic version for their 100th anniversary. It takes guts.
It really does. And it's paired with this short, lively video the sources mention, designed to tantalize fans' imaginations.
Tantalize imaginations.
Right, which is just marketing speak for we have secrets. But it creates momentum. It stops the anniversary from feeling like a eulogy for the past and turns it into a hype train for the future.
Speaking of the future, we have to talk about the elephant, or maybe the donphin in the room. Right. The reason we have Captain Pikachu at all is because of the massive pivot the anime took. We're talking about Pokémon Horizons, the series.
This is the pivot point. If we are writing the history of this franchise, the release of Horizons is the start of Volume 2.
Let's set the stage here for you listening. The show originally debuted in Japan in April 2023. At the time, the internet was, well, let's say skeptical.
Putting it mildly. You have to understand, for over 2 decades, the anime was synonymous with one person.
Ash Ketchum.
Ash Ketchum. He was the anchor. Generations of kids grew up watching him fail, try again, and eventually win. Removing him wasn't just a casting change. It was removing the sun from the solar system.
I remember the panic so clearly. Pokemon is over. It won't work without Ash. But here we are in 2026, and the show is not only surviving, it's thriving. The sources explicitly call it a significant turning point that is reeling in audiences and capturing hearts across the globe. So who are we actually watching now? Because we keep mentioning new protagonists, but we need to get to know them.
Right, so instead of the singular hero journey, we have a dual protagonist setup, and honestly an ensemble cast. First, you have Laqua.
And Laqua feels very different from Ash.
Very different. Ash was loud, brash, determined to be the very best. Laqua is introspective. She's internal. She wears this mysterious pendant that drives the plot. She starts out unsure of herself. Her partner is Sprigatito. Her journey is much more about self-discovery and understanding the world than just winning gym badges.
And then you have Roy.
Roy is the energy. He's got the Fuecoco. He's got this ancient, mysterious Pokeball. He brings that adventurous spirit. But the dynamic is key here. They aren't traveling alone on foot. They are part of the Rising Volt Tacklers, a group of aeronauts led by Friede.
Who is Captain Pikachu's partner?
Exactly.
See, that's a huge shift in dynamic. It's not just 3 kids walking in the woods anymore. It's a crew. It's an airship. It feels almost more like a classic adventure anime, like One Piece or Castle in the Sky, than the old gym battle of the week format.
That's a great comparison. And we have to give credit to the creative leadership here. Sori Den is the director at OLM, the studio behind this. Stepping into that role, knowing you are the one who has to follow the Ash Ketchum era. The pressure must have been absolutely crushing.
No, absolutely. One bad season and you're the person who ruined Pokemon.
Exactly. But Den and the team managed to create something that feels fresh without breaking the world. They introduced these new elements, the airship, the pendant, the mysteries, while keeping the core magic of Pokemon interactions alive. It's a thematic evolution because it moves from a sports anime structure, winning the league, to a mystery adventure structure.
And that structure allows for completely different kinds of storytelling. You don't have to hit the reset button every time they go to a new region.
Correct. And that brings us to the global rollout, which is its own interesting beast. Because we are sitting here in 2026, but the timeline of how we got this content is messy.
Messy is the polite word for it. It's the classic anime struggle. Japan gets it first, and the rest of the world plays catch-up. Let's track this journey for a second.
Sure. So Japan gets Horizons in April 2023. The UK gets it on BBC iPlayer in December 2023. And North America. We didn't see it on Netflix until March 7, 2024.
That's almost a full year delay.
It creates a weird fragmentation in the fan base.
Yeah.
You have the diehards who know every spoiler because they watch the Japanese broadcast by, let's say, unofficial means.
Right.
And then you have the casual audience on Netflix who are a year behind.
It's tough to have a global water cooler moment when half the water cooler is living in the future.
But that's exactly why this 30th anniversary is so crucial. It acts as a unifier. Regardless of where you are in the season count, the anniversary branding, the Captain Pikachu logo, the merchandise, it brings everyone onto the exact same page.
Yeah.
It says, we are all celebrating this franchise right now.
So let's talk about right now. It's February 20, 2026. Where does the story stand? Because the naming convention for these recent seasons has been really interesting to watch.
It has. They've moved to subtitle-based seasons, which gives us a hint at the narrative arc. Season 2, which hit Netflix about a year ago, around February 7th, 2025, was titled Pokémon Horizons, the search for Laqua.
Laqua, it sounds mythical.
It is. Without getting too deep into spoiler territory for those catching up, Laqua represents a destination. It's the legendary paradise. By calling the season The Search for Laqua, they gave the show a clear drive. It wasn't wandering. It was a quest.
And now we have Season 3, Pokémon Horizons, Rising Hope. This just debuted very recently, January 6, 2026.
Rising Hope. That title suggests a shift in tone. Searching implies looking. Rising Hope implies we found something, or perhaps we're facing something dark and hope is a counterbalance.
It sounds like the stakes are escalating.
They definitely are. And notice the timing. They launched Rising Hope in January 2026, perfectly leading into the February anniversary. It's a packed agenda. The source material specifically notes that this isn't a one-off delight. They are treating the anniversary as continuous rollout of content.
Which is incredibly smart. You don't want the anniversary to be just one day where everyone posts a picture online and then moves on. You want to keep them hooked.
Exactly. It connects to the creative upgrade we talked about earlier. By syncing the narrative climax of the anime with the real-world celebration, they blur the lines. The excitement for the show feeds the excitement for the anniversary, and vice versa.
So, putting this all together, we have the art, we have the new captain, we have Liko and Roy finding their footing, and we have this global celebration. What does this actually mean for the longevity of the brand? Because I look at this and I think, okay, they survived the transition.
I think survived is an understatement. They reinvented the engine while the car was moving.
Right. But it brings up a really interesting question about identity. The source talks about blending nostalgia and new beginnings. Can you really have both forever? Eventually, doesn't the new beginning just become old?
That's the ultimate challenge. But look at how they were handling it. They aren't erasing the past, they're remixing it. They kept the core concept, kids and monsters, friendship and battling, but they completely changed the wrapper. The reason this 30th anniversary feels enchanting, to use the word from our notes, is because it invites absolutely everyone in.
It's the big tent strategy.
Exactly. If you're a 40-year-old who traded cards and played red and blue on the bus to school, you see the 30th logo and you feel that pride. If you're a 10-year-old watching Liko on Netflix, you see Captain Pikachu and you see your hero. They've managed to make the brand elastic enough to hold both demographics without them clashing.
And that's so rare. Usually when a franchise tries to be cool for the new kids, the older fans get grumpy and leave. Or they cater so much to the older fans that the new kids think it's just boring dad rock.
Pokémon has avoided the dad rock trap by consistently refreshing its roster. Not just the Pokémon themselves, but now the humans. And I think that's the magic the source refers to. It's the magic of adaptability.
It really is wild to think about. I remember holding that bulky Game Boy, squinting at the screen because it wasn't backlit, just trying to catch a Pidgey. And now I'm watching a high-def anime about airships and ancient mysteries.
And yet, the feeling is exactly the same. The thrill of the catch, the bond between the partners, that hasn't changed a bit. It is built to enchant fans young and old alike. The celebrations have just begun.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the 30th anniversary, the Rising Hope, and the era of Captain Pikachu, I want to leave you with a thought. We've been praising their ability to evolve. They replaced Ash. They replaced Misty and Brock years ago. They changed the region, the animation style, the storytelling structure.
They changed almost everything.
Almost everything. There is one constant, the yellow electric mouse. Even though it's Captain Pikachu now, it's still Pikachu.
Right. He is the anchor.
So here is the provocative question to chew on. We know now that the franchise can survive without Ash Ketchum. We have proof. But could it survive without Pikachu?
Oh, man. That is the ultimate test, isn't it?
If we are talking about true thematic evolution, is there a version of Pokemon's 50th or 60th anniversary where the mascot isn't Pikachu? Where they finally say, okay, the mouse retires too.
It's almost impossible to imagine. He's deeper than Mickey Mouse at this point. He's a fundamental element of the periodic table of pop culture.
Yeah.
But if you had asked me 5 years ago if they would ever drop Ash, I would have said you were crazy.
Exactly.
So perhaps absolutely nothing is sacred. If the goal is to keep the franchise alive for another 30 years, maybe the rising hope is that eventually everything can be new, even the mascot.
That is a terrifying and fascinating thought. A world without Pikachu. I'm going to need to sit with that one for a while. It's definitely something to explore on your own as you watch these new seasons.
It's a brave new world out there.
It really is. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today. Happy 30th, Pokemon. Here's to the next 30.
Catch y'all next time.